Everybody, welcome to the Tuesday, February 27th, 2024 regular meeting of the Mason City Schools Board of Education. The board has been convened in a work session and has exited out of executive session, so we are ready for the next item on our agenda, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'd please stand and join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Sean, I believe we have some minutes to approve. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. Hearing none. Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Ms. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Oro?
All right. Item number 5, superintendent's presentations. Jonathan?
Yes, thank you. So each month we have just had, this year, the pleasure of sharing something that we call the Mason Moment Wayfinding Video of the Month. So in February, we have a special wayfinding moment. One of, I have loved them all, but this is a little bit of a favorite one because there's some personal connection to how this has served our family well, and you'll hear more about how it served other families. So I'm going to turn it over to Tracy to talk to us about the Wayfinding Moment video this month.
Well, Mason Sports Radio is an essential wayfinder for our students and Comet fans from across the country. Jonathan alluded that sometimes there are grandparents who might be in Florida, or I saw a former teacher or music teacher of ours, Doug Parrott, who is in Florida, that he logs in and listens faithfully to Mason Comet Sports Radio to get the latest stats and to keep up. Well, that school spirit and fostering our community engagement and showcasing our student athletes' achievements is really done from Mason Sports Radio, a student-led broadcasting platform. They provide live audio commentary, game analysis, and updates for MHS sports events, allowing listeners to follow along with the action even if they can't attend the games in person. Mason High School class of 2024 twins Adam and Andrew Little expressed their gratitude in this video for a program that allows them to dive into their passion for sports, set goals, explore their talents, and capitalize on their own natural chemistry when announcing games for Ohio's largest high school. As they prepare to graduate, the Littles thank the staff, alumni, and community who created and supported this student opportunity. The twins reflect on being a part of the Mason Sports Radio legacy and passing the torch to younger students who share their passion for broadcasting and serving the Mason community.
We have tipped off here at Princeton High School, the 11-1 Mason Comets taking on the 11-1 Princeton Vikings in what should be an exciting GMC showdown. I'm Adam Little, joined alongside my partner for this broadcast, Andrew Little.
Sports is a common language for everybody, even if you don't really like sports or play sports. You go to school with all the kids that are on the field, so you see them. Everybody goes to Friday night football games, big basketball games. So everybody, it's something that everybody can talk about, no matter how much you know about sports. When you talk about the game that happens, and everybody feels pride in their school. No matter how we do, you're rooting for Mason to win. So that's just something that brings people together.
The biggest compliments we get is when we get an email or text from grandparents of players or former players or people that live in Florida or different states that text us and be like, man, I got to watch my grandson play last night. Like that's what keeps us going. That's what motivates us. And really just being able to bring people together is really awesome.
When the pandemic hit, we were in our 8th grade year, so by the time the fall rolled around, we were freshmen, sports were starting back up, no fans could go. And so sports radio was our way to get into games and broadcasting, live through the games. And that's also when our fan base kind of grew, that so many people couldn't come. It was really just family members. So students started watching the game, and that was something new that we hadn't had in the past. And ever since then, I think it's just become part of the culture. Hey, if you can't make it a game tonight, Mason Sports Radio streaming it, and it's just picked up from there.
That's also kind of, we started like an Instagram page to try to grow like our student following, and I feel like that's been huge. Doing like funny, like mic'd up videos, cool game day graphics and pictures. We have some super talented high school photographers that take pictures of games. So that's been another thing that's really grown us.
Our dad's a high school teacher, so he knows Mr. Connor, the media instructor in high school. When I was in 5th or 6th grade, I did a summer camp at the Chronicle, the high school newspaper, and I'm now just kind of cool. And they were just starting sports radio at that time, and so Mr. Connor's like, hey, if Andrew ever wants to go up, we went to all football games growing up. If he wants to help out, feel free. So I would look at the press box now on Twitter. And at that point, they only broadcast football games and a few boys basketball games on audio. And then by the time we got to high school, people started branching out into other sports, using video, so we just kind of caught on at the right time. And now we've been able to broadcast tons of different games.
My freshman year, I took a class called Integrated Media at high school. So a person named Ben Haller, he was in the class, he invited me to come work a camera for a boys basketball game. And I think after that game, either Andrew and I worked a camera every single broadcast for the rest of that school year. And we just had it was a really fun time growing with him, really just learned a lot and kind of built our relationship to now where we can take over the program and kind of make it our own. It's really cool to be able to broadcast with my brother. I served more the play-by-play commentary when we broadcast together, so that's more describing the game, things like that. Andrew serves more as a color announcer, so that's kind of breaking down after the play, kind of giving the reader intel, what went well, what they could have done better, things like that. And ever since we were little, ESPN and sports have always been on in the house, and we've always just kind of shot the bull, like talking sports, and so talking sports really just comes naturally for us. And so I think that's part of the reason why we work so well together. We've just been talking sports our whole life. So I think that's having good chemistry is super important in announcing, and obviously it doesn't get much better than being a twin. So our sophomore year, we had a really cool opportunity when the girls basketball team made the state finals and state final four. We actually got to go down to the University of Dayton Arena. And we broadcasted courtside, so we got to walk in the tunnel where all the ESPN announcers, where all the players typically walk through. We got to sit courtside during the game. We kind of felt like we were almost like getting treated like royalty. It was such a cool experience for us to be sophomores. More recently, football's, I would say, both of our passions. Our dad's been a coach for as long as we can remember, so we love Mason football. We love football in general. So this last year, when the football team played Springboro, it was a huge come-from-behind victory in the fourth quarter. It clinched them to go the furthest they've ever made in history. That was a really exciting call, really exciting game. I even had a voice crack on the very last play. You could just tell I was really excited.
Brown takes the snap. Has some time. There's a strike to Brady Greer. Hey, Brady Greer! It's going to be a touchdown! Brady Greer! Brady Greer with a touchdown! 37 yards! And Mason takes the lead here at Springville. I'm losing my voice. I can't contain my excitement here. My heart is beating out of my chest. From behind from 2 scores.
Yeah, and going to the state final four when we were sophomores was really cool, but we weren't announcing for that. I was writing stories for Chronicle Adams, tweeting the game and directing the broadcast. So when we got our junior year, we were doing basketball as the lead team, so that was really exciting. The girls team, once again, was one of the best in the state. They had a game at Princeton. At the time, they were ranked 1 2. And went down to the wire. Maddie Parrish hit a game winner.
Oh, yeah,
down
this was the best play.
at Princeton. So that was a really fun environment to call. And that was kind of our big break, I felt like, for that year.
To Parrish, the floater, and she hits it! The buzzer beater by Maddie Parrish! And the Comets win! Oh my goodness, 27 points from the sophomore, and that is how you end a game.
I just called my last game at the basketball arena on Friday of boys senior night. So that was kind of the sentimental thing. It's like, I'm not going to be here next year, and I was calling sophomore, and so just kind of building into him and the rest of the kids that they're going to take it over next year. So we've just been doing our best to show them the ropes, make sure they're ready with all the equipment, and that they feel confident to get out there in front of the school and for amazing sports.
We really want to leave our legacy on the fellow students that are going to be kind of taking the reins after us. We have a few sophomores that have shown a lot of passion, the kind of the passion we saw, so we're really trying to jump on that. There's one student I'm already just trying to kind of pass the torch off to. She's handling a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, emailing, things like that, so that one kind of just leaves flawless transition. We're really just trying to do a good job of balancing, making the most of our last few months, but also trying to keep that legacy going. Our mom's a teacher, my dad's a teacher, so Mason is really just it's been in our blood. We do really bleed green. I know that's kind of a cliche around here, but we really do bleed green. So just being able to give back to a community that's really important to us has been super rewarding during high school.
Well, thank you so much, Tracy and team, for bringing that to us tonight. I just checked our sports radio. It looks like our girls are up 49 to 20 something in the third quarter, if you're curious and keeping track. They're over playing Goshen right now and hopefully on the road to state. The Little Twins and all of that program, that is just a great example of the opportunities our kids get. And we give them the opportunities, they grow it into amazing things. And that's what's amazing about our kids is if we get out of their way, they do just amazing things. And our family personally has benefited greatly from this when my wife will run home or I'll run home or we're here and we're at different events. We can keep track of what's going on even with our own kids and their sporting events. So we want to thank everybody for their great work. Our second presentation this evening is,
Jonathan,
yes.
Could we just make a few comments?
please.
That was one of the more just fun, entertaining. You couldn't deny either one of those kids if you wanted to. And even if you tried, that little enthusiasm is not going to skip a generation. I just thought that that was a great example, Jonathan, of what you're talking about, us offering opportunities for our kids. And you're right, they take it, they run with
They
it.
do.
Thank you.
And they do have families supporting them and uncles and aunts as well supporting them. So thank you to the little family.
And I'll just say I have two fifth-grade boy twins who I very much could see
Yes.
wanting to do that exact thing. So I got to get them hooked up with Andrew and Adam before they graduate.
It starts early.
Yeah.
That's great. So.
I think one of the coolest things is, if I recall correctly, this was one of, if not the first high schools to create a program like this and curate these memories and these events that for so many people are the defining memories of their high school experience through sports and athletics. And, to be able to kind of trailblaze in that area has been really cool, because I know like this was a thing before my alma mater got into it with their own student broadcasting and being able to see how much it has proliferated and how strong the infrastructure and the alumni base is growing with past, participants who are going on to do, broadcasting and things like that, and then return to Mason to give of their experience and build into the next generation of Mason Sports Radio comets. It's really cool to see. It's really fun. It kind of elevates, we see, students and athletes being promoted by schools all over the place, but it adds an extra wrinkle when it's the students, their peers, promoting and putting that spotlight on it. It's like a symbiotic way for, the athletes to give a platform for those kids to show some skills that they have and take that and run with that as a career. So it's a awesome and a defining hallmark of Mason High School, and we appreciate you including that this time.
Thank you.
Well, we thank them again, and they didn't talk about it in the video because they're humble leaders, but they do a lot of study behind the scenes. You can probably ask parents about it. They are reading, reviewing, understanding, getting names right, the data. They have it ready to go at the game. They do, because they've shown me their study guide ahead of time. And then they're practicing great just communication skills, leadership, and mentoring, and thinking about legacy and succession planning. There's so much wrapped into what they're doing there that we just love to see, and the comment skills that we hope to continue to promote in our learning. And Dale Connor is the teacher that we thank him for just creating those opportunities. So if you get a second, feel free to send Dale Connor an email thanking him for those opportunities as well.
ESPN's gonna, we're gonna keep that pipeline that
Yes.
Dan Patrick started. We're gonna keep sending them
The pipeline to ESPN.
to ESPN.
Someday they will be here to
They
see.
might even
this.
be competing with ESPN.
Hey,
We're going to have some new networks that are coming.
Yes,
coming down
what?
the pipe.
Yes. Well, we are just very grateful. I'm going to transition, if it's okay, and thank you for bringing that to us tonight. Our second presentation, last year we brought our community together to talk about this journey to 2030, and some of the pieces that we really wanted to establish on our journey to 2030 were the portrait of a comet skills, and getting aligned on our language of what's important with a changing world that is changing so quickly. What are the human skills that we really want to make sure that we are being super focused about here? And you take a look and see some of the things that are on here. You probably saw that demonstrated in the video that we just watched. I'm going to ask Dr. Brennan and team to take it away and give us a spotlight or a highlight on where are we now a year after working through this as a community. Where are we with the Portrait of a Comet skills? Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Thank you to our board for allowing us some time to share some exciting updates and reflections on our Portrait of a Comet and where we are now. As Dr. Cooper mentioned, it really was a community effort to identify these enduring human skills that our students need to thrive as students now and in the future, and really all of us as members of the Comet community lean on a daily basis. When you look at them on the screen here, and you have a copy in front of you of the skills of integrity, adaptability, communication, empathy, and critical thinking, my guess is most of us could reflect on just our days today and could think about how we leaned into these skills. They are really essential to being learners, leaders, citizens in areas that we don't ever really fully arrive at, right? They're continual areas of growth and reflection. And so as we thought about, once we had this portrait in place, where does it go from here to make it a reality for our students and throughout our Comet community? One thing we knew is that it wasn't just about one lesson or one grade level where you introduce it and then it's there. It's something that would really need to be integrated throughout students' experience, and also that our educators would know best how to make this real for our students. So as we were planning for this year, we really intentionally didn't lay out a big plan to say, okay, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. We said we're going to pause and allow our educators to really be our portrait pathfinders to figure out what works for our students in making this a reality and in really meaningful and authentic ways that will be lasting for hopefully generations of Comets. Our learning experience designers have been essential in providing support in resources, and we're joined tonight by Dan Little, one of our amazing learning experience designers. And Dan, I just have to give a special shout out to, just has a true heart and passion when it comes to thinking about how do we make these skills a reality for students and a vision for how to make it happen. So Dan is going to help to elevate a few great examples of what we've been seeing in our classrooms and our schools.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you, board, for the time. Super pumped to be able to share some of the exciting things that teachers are bringing to life. And as we look at these skills, I have a challenge for you. The temptation, and this is what we do when we're designing with our teachers too, the temptation is to look at these and think, oh, these are words, right? But to really, truly feel the impact of these things in your own life is what we're trying to give that gift to kids. We can say that communication is important. We can say that we want to set some goals around this. But until we create experiences that provide them the amazing opportunity, my nephews are a wonderful example of that, right? The amazing opportunities to bring communication out in their learning. It's hard to grow in this. So I think rather than me standing up here and talking about the clever, creative, incredible ways that our teachers are bringing this to life, would love to just start with a few examples. So you will see we have what we think of as universal experiences in our schools, so things that every kid might engage in. And we also have our classroom experiences, right? And Crew is a great example at Mason Middle School. Crew is an example of a morning time where every kid gets a somewhat consistent experience, opportunity to connect. We have opted to celebrate Mrs. Sears tonight. She does so many wonderful things with our culture work. When you talk about a person who lives out Comet culture, that is Allison Sears. She also has found some incredible ways to breathe life into our portrait skills for her students, not just in her Crew class, but also in her science courses. We've asked Mrs. Sears just to share a handful of the ways in which she's bringing some of those things to life. So hope that will start to paint a bit of a picture for you. Thank you.
Hey there. So at the middle school, like Dan was saying, every 7th and 8th grader begins their day with the 20-minute homeroom that we call Crew. And it's during this time that we were able to, this school year, teach all of our Portrait of a Comet competencies, where we've chosen to focus on one competency, or attribute or skill a month. So for example, back at the beginning of the school year in September, that was a great time at the beginning of the year to focus on empathy. So in all of our crews, all 7th and 8th graders for an entire week engaged in a lesson about empathy. So first we dove into what's the definition of this term? What does it really mean? Then we took a day or two to role play. And like serious real life role plays scenarios for 7th and 8th graders. You know, if you see a new student sitting by themselves at the cafeteria, if you're walking down the hallway and somebody's backpack just explodes and you have pencils all over the place, or somebody's being unkind on the bus, what are ways that you can step up and show empathy? So after we engaged, and keep in mind, every student at the middle school is engaging in these same experiences. And at the end of the week, we sit down and the students set a goal with the specific action step of how they can intentionally try to show empathy that month. And not only do they share the goal verbally with one another, which is an important part of setting a goal, but they also write it down, either on a Post-it note or on a piece of paper, and we display it in the classrooms. And this way you're reminding each other and yourself of your goal every day as they come in and out of crew. So at the end of the month, and this is still back in September with empathy, for example, at the end of the month, we take a morning on a Friday to reflect on these goals that they made and to celebrate our wins, to take them and be like, hey, who did something amazing to step up and show empathy? And, you know, the kids are, like 8th graders are seriously so proud to say, hey, I've done good. I actually really did what you asked me to do. Like it was great. It is a celebration. And so the nice thing about intentionally having this morning time with crew to teach all of our students, all of our 7th and 8th graders, these Portrait of a Comet competencies is that we've now created this universal language, a common language that as students go through their day, most of the teachers have these posted in their classrooms or are using the language. And I know for me, with my goal, professional goal this year is to do more goal setting with my students. When they come in my classroom, if I tell them, hey, Comets, we've got a really challenging lab today. we're gonna need to do some higher level math, we're gonna need precision and accuracy, or maybe I'll say, hey, I've assigned you a new lab group of students that you don't know really well. And I ask them to pick a Portrait of a Comet competency that they now know these terms. They can pick one that's personalized to them. In fact, yesterday I had my students share their Comet skills for this week. We have a project we're doing, and I had a young man say, I choose adaptability because he likes things his way. And he says, I want to be flexible. I'm working with 2 other students, and I want to be able to listen and maybe be flexible if they don't really want to do my idea, which that's amazing, right? Amazing for an 8th grader. I also had a student who chose yesterday, he said, hey, I'm going to choose integrity as my goal for this project because he seriously struggles with following directions. Super duper smart kiddo, but really struggles to actually follow the procedures on a lab or the instructions. So I'm like, these they personalize because they're familiar with these terms and the language, and it's just exciting. So I just want to tell all of you that we have about 1,800 middle schoolers that are learning these skills to be not only amazing Comets while they're here at Mason, but just for the rest of their lives. Go Comets.
Go Comets.
So Ms. Sears is a wonderful example of how you can think of creative ways to make this a reflection moment in a science class, make it a reflection moment in crew, and also some of our universal experiences as well. Thrilled to introduce our next group, but before we introduce our main attraction, I would like to do a quick shout out and celebration. If we could have Vicki Chappell, Dina Little, Jill Hartsock, and Jessica Mullen stand up real quick. So you will get to see some of the fruits of their work from one of our students today, and I'm really pumped for you to have that opportunity. But what I want to point out is that what breathes life into these is the creativity and the design skills of our teacher. Raise your hand if you have ever done a research project in your life about a person. We've all been there, right? Raise your hand if you've ever done a research project in your life that looked at how critical human skills helped a person who succeeded be successful. Interesting. Theo, your hand goes up, right? You've been there. Yeah, there we go. So when we talk about breathing life into this, the example that we're going to share is really a testament to the creative design and the commitment to following through and making an idea come to life. So I would just like to celebrate the incredible portrait skills that our teachers showed in their design for this experience, and to also give Mr. Theo Warner an opportunity to share a bit of the experience that they had. He's going to go through the presentation, one of the presentations he had made for Miss Chappell's class. Come on down, Theo.
Could you imagine applying to the University of Maryland School of Law and being rejected because you're black? Now imagine you are the same person and you hope to segregate that same school. This is what happened to Thurgood Marshall, and this is why Thurgood Marshall should be considered as a Mason comet. One of the traits comets have is that they are adaptable. Adaptability means to adjust and adapt to help prepare for the future. Thurgood Marshall had to adapt when whites were trying to target him, because they didn't believe in what Thurgood Marshall was trying to do. He had to move houses, and he had to change cars mid-journey so he wouldn't be a big track. Another skill comets have is that they are good critical thinkers. Critical thinkers are leaders, and they solve through problems with analytical thinking. He had to use his critical thinking skills when he used evidence from psychology about segregation on the effect of school children. He also had to argue in front of the Supreme Court that separate was not equal. One quote Thurgood Marshall stated was, "When you see wrong or inequity, speak out, because this is your democracy. Make it, protect it, pass it on." This quote connects to Thurgood Marshall because this is his country. He made it, he protected it, and he passed it down to others. These are the reasons Thurgood Marshall should be accepted as a Mason comet.
So Theo, obviously representing, if you didn't get the gist of it, they were looking at figures from history that could be an honorary comet, and they were doing that through the lens of our portrait skills. So I hope, Theo, that you see in yourself a lot of those same traits that we were celebrating in Thurgood Marshall as well. You're an excellent communicator. To stand up here in front of these people, it makes me shake a little in my space boots. So you did a great job, bud. Just want to give a quick snapshot of some of the things that are happening across our building. This isn't going to capture the entire essence of all the things happening with portrait skills, but at MEC, we have our fabulous Comet Kid, the hero of Mason Early Childhood Center, and our staff is working hard to incorporate the portrait skills into those Comet Kid stances, so putting it into language that our youngest Comets can understand. They're also working on building some mindset libraries. Imagine great children's book, all the great children's books that show the characters communicating well, and how can we talk about communication? At Mason Elementary, we have a Mason Journey specialist class that we're hoping to launch here soon that's going to embed these foundational portrait skills into all of our kids, give the foundational knowledge that they need to really launch, know their strengths, and take off on their wonderful learning journey. At MI, Mr. Messer recently led on the 16th of February an incredible experience that talked to our staff members about ways they can be integrating portrait skills into their learning experiences. And an example of that was young Theo today, right? Great job, Theo. At Mason Middle School, we have monthly crew portrait skills, and they also have kind of a catch a comet positive. The teachers are purposely looking for ways to celebrate when a kid is being an excellent communicator, when a kid is showing empathy, when a kid is showing integrity. So we know that those positive reinforcements of that are really powerful as well. And one that I'm super jazzed about is our experiential learning team. So our high school-led team of students who are all about career connections are looking for ways that they can create junior experiential learning opportunities where companies might come into our school district and share the ways in which what they do, this is my career, but also here's how I use these portrait skills in my day-to-day life. And I think hopefully that provides a lot of great experiences for our kids as well to come. So really excited about what's to come. We're just getting started. Thank you.
To Dan and Theo and Mrs. Sears and all of our educators for being here. And if you have any questions for any of them, we'll absolutely would love to entertain those.
Could we have Theo, can you join us again at the mic, and then the people that are watching can hear some of your answers? I think the board would love to ask you a little bit about your experience. And if I could offer you an honorary doctorate for your research, we'd call you Dr. Theo Warner. Welcome to the podium officially from Mason City Schools. I'll turn it over to the board to ask some questions.
Theo, I have a question for you. Which one of the characteristics do you think you're the best at?
One of the characteristics I think I'm the best at is communication skills, because I think I am really good with sharing my voice and being able to collaborate with others and seek feedback.
I think you've got a good start, young man.
So Theo, Thurgood Marshall is one of my heroes as well. And he had really great parents that believed in him. So how are you taking the Portrait of a Comet home and sharing it with your mom and your dad and your brother and your sister?
Can you ask that again? I'm sorry.
How are you taking the skills you're learning through the Portrait of a Comet and helping your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister, your family at home?
I'm able to show them at home, and that's what's able to help them and also understand more about these traits.
You just communicated a very complicated answer. Good job.
Well done, well done.
Theo, do you remember at MECC, do you remember learning about some of these things? Do you remember learning about empathy, one of the Comet Kids stances? It's okay if you don't exactly
in MECC,
remember.
no.
Yeah. Well, I can see that it's already built in a lot of these things. It's really cool to see how that common language already, we built that foundation. And I think probably somebody will have to correct me. We have to ask Mrs. Bly or Robin Thomas at MECC. I think that this year's 7th graders might have been the first class to have the Comet Kids stances. So I'd be so interested next year, Allison, as if you do the same thing next year, how that conversation about empathy goes with those students who have been using that language year after year during their entire Comet journey, which is really cool. But Theo, I wanted to ask you a question about your and your fellow students' experience. Was it cool to see what you're learning and your Comet journey, like your journey here in Mason, applied to all these incredible historical figures? Did that help you understand why we're doing all this and what we're trying to accomplish?
Yes, it did, and it also helped me understand more about more historical figures and like their portraits
Yeah.
of Comet. So
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing. Excellent job tonight. Thank you.
Theo, when you're not in class doing research projects or coming to board meetings, what are some of your favorite things to do with your time?
mostly lay on the couch.
He's an honest man.
Absolutely. Integrity.
Integrity.
That's integrity.
Integrity.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Well, thank you for bringing your talents and sharing with us some of those traits that we value and elevate here in Mason to kind of give a glimpse of what our Portrait of a Comet will hopefully look like for years to come.
Charles, real quick, I'll just say, so for all of our educators who are helping design this in real time and implement what we're trying to do already, just thank you so much for your example. I mean, because honestly, Theo, what you just did, but what we designed for him and his fellow students to do, that just blows me away, because it does all the things we're trying to do. They're learning about an historical figure. They're applying exactly what we're learning and showing them why it's important to do what we're doing and making it very real to them in real time. So that's just fantastic. So I just want to thank all of our educators for all that you're already doing on our journey to 2030, and that's Portrait of a Learner. So thank you.
Well done.
Dr. Brennan, team, Theo, family, thank you for being here tonight. And teachers, thank you again for all of your great work in the classrooms and making this possible for all of our folks. Thank you, Dr. Brennan. We appreciate
We've
it.
got
a
some.
gift.
Oh my goodness, yes,
Yeah.
we have. We have.
Yeah, we want to shake your hand, Theo. Can we
And
shake
for
your
our
hand?
teachers.
Yeah.
Yes, come on down. I think a gift and maybe a picture is in happening.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should. Okay, go ahead, talk to my picture. Oh, we must have hold this. Just shake her hand.
Okay, good, too.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, I don't.
You know what, if I could actually have everybody come forward a little bit, in fact, maybe a little past, maybe come up here, and then, yep, teachers, yeah, come on up, and then just, yeah, kind of scoot behind each other like that, yep, that will look terrific. Matt, I'm gonna have you scooch this way just a little bit, there we go. All right, one. You know what, if I could have, this is really picky, have everybody come this way, like center ourselves in the middle, there we go. All right, there we go, one. Very good. Good job.
Do what I'm doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
So you know.
I know his mom and dad. And she's got my sister, they're the soccer family. Yeah. Yeah. He's got an older brother that's freshman.
Oh, cool.
Sister played soccer somewhere in the South.
All right. Well, this is a natural time in our meetings when we take a pause for those who have just come for the superintendent's presentation portion of our meeting. It looks like we have a well-schooled audience, though, and they've taken their cue already, so that's great. Hearing of the public. Tracy, do we have any tonight?
Nothing tonight.
All right. Well, in that case, we usually take a pause following our hearing of the public to allow folks who have come just for that portion of the meeting to move on with their evening. But I get the impression everybody's in here for the full ride tonight. So on to our next item, agenda item number 7, resolutions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
So this resolution is part of the process that we're required to go through anytime the school district is trying to file an appeal or a challenge with the county auditor's office on a particular commercial property value sale. Just as a note, the district as a rule does not challenge any kind of homeowner properties. No residential properties are ever being challenged. This is just on the commercial side. This particular commercial property is on the books for about 45-ish million. It sold for about 115 million, so we're just kind of filing to see if we can get that value bumped up a little bit to help everybody in the community. So,
And this helps us kind of, again, make sure that we are not disproportionately putting the tax burden of our school district on our residents who, as you mentioned, we, as a rule, don't pursue adjustments like this. It helps kind of defray that when we are seeing those kind of out of whack valuations in commercial properties. So
that is correct. It's actually not a super common instance that we do this. The general rule of thumb is that the property value has to increase by at least $500,000 and 10%. So this is not something we're doing, for small potatoes. It's more those bigger sales. And like you say, it's really making sure that everybody is accurately paying, commercial properties are accurately paying their share of the taxes.
That's an actual purchase price, price paid on the market is a really good indicator of the true value of a property. So
that's correct.
Really what we're getting after.
And our county auditor usually picks this up for us, but this was a special case that slipped through for a few reasons. But so we work really well with them in making sure that we can catch those that we need to catch on the commercial side.
Yep, that's correct.
Awesome. Any further discussion? John, please call the roll.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Godwin?
Yes.
4-0.
Item number 8, policy change recommendations. This is first reading of these policy changes. Is that correct, Jonathan?
That's correct. Just really quickly, a first reading just means that we are putting this out for public review. Second reading is when the vote would come forth, which would be next month. During that time, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to myself. We're happy to walk you through some of the updates here. This review reviews all of the policy from the first semester. So the way that works is we work with OSBA and their legal, legislative, and also their policy review committee, and they give us updates when the law changes or language changes, when a law is pushed forward and approved and made into law. There are changes that we have to then reflect in our policy. So they give us those updates. We review those. There's about 40 or so up, and it could be anything from one word change to a sentence change to a legal reference, and so you can go in and see those and ask any questions that you might have, but we do want to make sure that our policy is aligned with what's in law, and so that language is updated, and if there's anything that needs to change in terms of our practices here because of the policy, then we then make adjustments to our guidelines in-house once those become officially voted on. So those are the big pieces here. We also have some exciting pieces we're looking at for international travel as well. So I would just, that would be an exciting one that we're looking at and partnering with EF Tours and opening up some opportunities for our students and our staff to do some more additional international travel opportunities for our kids. So that's a policy we had to update in here as well. And so you'll see a variety of things in here, anywhere from just a language change to some new opportunities that we're opening up. And the process, I apologize, the process goes: policy gets reviewed by myself, our team, then brought to policy committee. Policy committee reviews that. We go back and forth. Our attorney reviews those, and then we bring it for first reading. Go ahead.
Where can the public find this?
These are, they're posted here on our, so if you go to your board docs, you can go there and click on there and see that. If you have any problem. Yep, you can go through our website and see all that. And if you have any problem with that, you can reach out to me directly or to my executive assistant, and we'll make sure that you can get access to those.
And I also want to just acknowledge the work that your team does and all of the review of these suggestions that we receive for changes to the policy. It is not just a rubber stamp process that we go through. We consider and evaluate the recommendations that we receive. Some of them we accept, some of them we modify, some of them we pass on, and we do a lot of thoughtful work on putting forward just those policies that we feel like are in the best interest of the district, because that's not necessarily one size fits all kind of process for all of the districts in Ohio. So it is a long process. It's why we don't do this every meeting. We have like one or two of these a year usually, because the rest of the year we're reviewing these, so.
It is a few months of process just to go through the just initial process, and sometimes that gets delayed because we have additional questions and go back and forth with attorneys, or just internally where we are changing or addressing something and we just don't like the way that it might limit some of the things that we want to do. So thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you, Jonathan. Item number 9, superintendent's recommendations, personnel items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Personnel items, I'll just run through and highlight just a couple of areas. This is you can also click into this document and see how this is organized by category. You'll see substitute teachers in this first column. In section I, we have certified licensed personnel. This is an intervention support program for our third grade students, and we're just really grateful for the teachers that step up to do that. Kristen Lazuda, I believe, is the lead on that program, and that goes through Dr. Brennan's team in their office, making sure that we have enough support for our staff and that they're getting paid for after hours work with our students to make sure that our students have the very best possibility performing and showing what they know, not only on the state test, but just in their reading and readiness, and making sure that they're at grade level to move forward. That's something that we do as a district and invest in. You'll see that show up a couple times on the agenda, one in certified and one in classified, because we also have classified employees as well. that are working in that program, and that's called the, I believe it's the Comet Club. So please, we thank those teachers, and we thank them for stepping up. And you'll go through this agenda. You'll also see all of our coaches that are signing up. I will just say a word. I met with our coaches the other night. If you're considering coaching at all, please let us know. Like, it is a way to invest in kids in our future. It is, and if you may not feel comfortable, or maybe you've coached in the past and you're just wondering, please reach out to us. We would love to connect you and see if that might be a fit for you. If you're thinking about applying to our district, we'll have postings coming out in the next month for new positions in our district. If you're a coach in another district and you're teaching there and you would like to come here and try something new for Comet Country, we would love for you to consider that. We are looking for great coaches to come on that believe what we believe in investing in our kids. So our coaches have been encouraging us to look for ways to continue to grow the bench, so to speak, for our coaches and grow our staff in that way. I think those are the major highlights I wanted to highlight, thanking everyone for being a part of that. We do have a couple retirees on here. Anytime someone's retiring, we want to just pause and thank you for your service here and for your investment in setting up the next generation here at Mason. So thank you so much. And that's all I have for personnel recommendations tonight.
All right, thank you,
Thanks.
Jonathan. Any further discussion? All right, Sean, please call the roll.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes, but
Quorum.
abstain with regard to H.
Thanks.
All right, item number 10, superintendent's recommendations, action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, let me just walk you through really quickly what we have here. Item A is our membership to the Ohio Association for Athletics. So the OHSAA, that's our just process of being continued members of that. That allows our kids to participate in all the events, like our girls participating in the extra. I hope they've won by now in fourth quarter. I have not checked the score, but I'm hoping.
Yes.
30-point. Well, okay, good.
67-34.
Pretty
Go
confident
Comets.
they're moving forward in that. Item B in here is a second reading, and the approval and the vote will be tonight for the new course proposal that we heard a little bit alluded to tonight. Mr. Little talked about that My Mason Journey course that's going to continue to have a space and a place for kids to continue to develop these Portrait of a Comet skills in creative ways, and we have teachers that are leading that special. This is also an effort to reduce our class size in our specials class areas, so really excited to see this go through. This was brought to us by our buildings as an idea, and this idea is now in our second reading, so that will be voted on or approved tonight. Item C is a job description for that position that we're going to be opening up or moving forward on. And so you'll see the job description on there tonight as well for that new specials course. Book disposal, just a reminder that book disposal, we do have a process for going through book disposal. It's not, we don't just dispose of books haphazardly. There is a process when books are overused, meaning the cover's falling off or pages are ripped. We look through those, and our media center specialists help us to decide what books are on that list, and then we'll either buy new books or buy different books to be put on that list. So you can see that list here posted transparently. Item E is a sub-custodial summer maintenance wage change. We are always looking at what is the market, and we want to be competitive in the market so that we can actually hire good people and attract good people for our custodial sub-services and as well as our summer support. And that goes through our operations, that came through our facilities committee. And so we are amending that so that we are in the market competitive with those around us. And so that's what we're doing on that. Item F, resolution for urgent necessity. So urgent necessity is when we have an item that goes over the $50,000 mark and we need to move forward on it sooner than being able to go through a whole bid process that we typically would go through for any item over $50,000. This is reserved for safety items only. And so in this case, we have an item that needs replaced. This came through Facilities Committee with our, I believe it's our fire system.
Fire panel at Mason Elementary.
The fire panel.
33 years old.
33-year-old fire panel. We need that worked on and replaced quickly, and so we don't have the time to go through that whole bid process. So we're going to exercise a resolution for urgent necessity to get that done so that we can continue to have systems that work for our kids, and so we don't have to close any of our buildings out if that's not working. The next item on here, item G, that's an asphalt overlay repair project that is happening over, if you know where our bus garage is, right across from our bus, that transportation headquarters, right across there is a parking lot that all of our folks park in. It is pretty rough. You can go on Google Maps and probably see all the cracks in it. And it needs some repair. So this is the project that's going to do that. The next one is a asphalt overlay repair at Mason Early Childhood Center. So the Early Childhood Center, we were poised to do this before. Then when we started to see, hey, we want to make an effort to build some facilities, we had the funding, the debt-free project. We were going to drop our class sizes down over there. All of that effort, we said, pause, before we do anything to the parking lot, let's put that on hold, bring that back once the actual facilities project is done, the construction, so that we're not driving over it. So now we're going to go back and hopefully fix that up, and we'll paint all the lines on there so the kids know how to make it to the 100 million buses that are out. No, the 70-some buses out there. So we have a whole line system. If you've never seen it, it's quite amazing that they set that up. So that's going to happen over at MECC. Item I, a change order. So when we did the Mason Early Childhood Center construction, right at the beginning, Todd brought to our facilities committee that Jim Voris and team noticed that there had to be a move of a pipe, and I believe it was it a gas line or was it a
Power line, 300 feet long, and that the architects thought it would be in one spot. And Duke had other ideas.
So through some conversation back and forth, this is a change order, and it actually saved us quite a bit of money. I can't remember the exact dollar amount. Do you remember the dollar amount of how much money this conversation maybe saved in that?
Yeah, we started off at 127,000 for the 300 feet, and it ended up, I think, at 53,000.
Yeah, it was about 53,000. So, you know, and those are the conversations that happen during construction. So we're grateful for architects that are looking out.
Yeah, that wasn't me bringing that price down. That was Jim Voorhees from VSWC.
So, yeah, always grateful for the partners that we do have looking out for us and helping us do that. So that's what the change order is about. Item J, demolition of 208 North Crest House. We have looked at this. We have a property. It's a house that is, I think, ready to fall in. And we looked at a couple options. We looked at, well, could we fix it up and sell it? We looked at, could we build another house right around there and structure that differently?
Board President's Mansion, that was the...
I don't know if boards, board, I don't think that made it to our exact list, but
I thought we
could throw that out there as an option. Todd's done some good work with the team on looking, because we went back and forth, looked at some different options. We talked about this as a board, actually, in facilities committee. We looked at some different options, and basically what came down to is the best option that we have right now is to go ahead and do a demo of that so that it's safe for the neighbors that are in that and to take good care of that property.
There's no drywall, insulation, wiring. Everything was stripped out about 15 years ago, and we had just paused. But the best bet is just to take that house down and wait, because real estate is so valuable in Mason, and it's a half-acre lot.
But we did consider lots of options on that. The very best, least expensive option right now is to take that down, and the safest for the neighbors and that, to take care of our property well. But we'll hold on to that. That's over by, it used to be Mason Heights, and now it is
Royalmont.
Yep, Royalmont Academy over there. So if anybody's wondering where that's located at.
Noted they didn't say no, Charles.
Right. It's still possible.
I mean, it doesn't have wire, plumbing, anything else, but, you know, it might be a nice shelter. We could probably pause the project.
Glamping or something like that.
Yes.
Don't take the kids.
No.
We'll put it into consideration in the notes. Renewal lease. So Royalty Trucking is a wonderful partner that we have had for a while now. I don't know how many years, but they've been great partners.
Ever since I've been here.
And they take great care and pride of the property, and this is just every so often we continue to match the lease with them with what's in the market, and they've been gracious to do that. That is the white house that's located behind Mason Middle School. So if you're wondering, that's a great partner there. It's Royalty Trucking, and I mean, they've been good folks there, good residents, taking good care of the property. And then finally, Branching Minds agreement. Branching Minds is our learner success support team with Dr. Brennan and team. They've looked at lots of different options, and this is one option that allows us to get data all in one location, to access that data, to make decisions, and for us to be successful with our learner success support teams, we have to have access to data, and our teachers have to have access to data. So this is a system that we are going to invest in to try to get that access available so that we can make those great decisions about academics proactively and give them exactly what they need. I think that is all we have for superintendent recommendations at this time. Any questions about any of that? I'm sorry to go through that quickly, but.
I'd just like to take the opportunity to point out that there were several items in this list tonight that are directly assigned to the Facilities Committee. I've had the pleasure of working on that committee with Todd for a while now, and I can honestly tell you that I feel we have a lot of great people in this district, but I have 1,000% confidence in Todd Petrie and how he takes care of our buildings. We get compliments all the time. Todd is over our transportation, our parking lots, the fire panel, safety, a lot of things. And I think that this is a great opportunity to just point out what a wonderful individual we have sitting in that seat right now. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for contributing to our community in the way that you do.
I get a lot of support.
Yes, you do, but you picked your team and you've done well.
All right, thank you. And any other discussion? All right, hearing none. Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
4-0.
All right, item number 11, Treasurer's Report. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
A few items on for this month. We have our financial reports from the month of January. And in addition to those, we have some donations from various community members and organizations alike. Some of the ones we have on there are all familiar names. Mason Schools Foundation, thank you to them. Mason Kiwanis, the MEMI PTO, Matthew 25 Ministries, got a Cub Scout pack on there. So grateful for their support that provide a lot of opportunities for kids in our district. And then the last item in that section is for our enrichment personnel. These are contracted individuals that come in and provide, again, these are after-school activities for kids. So for this month, we've got some tennis and science programming on there available for kids K through 12. And so those are our items on this section.
Thank you, Sean. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Ms. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
4-0.
Item number 12, committee reports. We had a Arts and Activities Council meeting recently.
We did approved a number of trips that students had earned, and then also approved the poster for Mean Girls at the Mason Middle School. They're doing that production March 15th, 16th, and 17th. So if you see that poster around, you'll want to notice our student actors who are part of that and on that poster. And then we also approved a new honor society, the National STEM Honor Society. We have a number of honor societies, but we're really excited, and that one particularly was really focused on connecting with careers. So we thought that was a great new ad.
Thanks, Tracy. Diversity Council had a meeting.
We did as well there. We spent a little bit of time looking at how we want to streamline school and grade transitions, and had a really terrific meeting, really focused grouping ideas for how we could do that and better serve our families and students as they think about that kind of next step. And so some of the families have had survey opportunities since that meeting, and some of the feedback that we had helped shape a little bit of that. We also discussed two of our upcoming Windows and Mirrors events, and so I'm going to shamelessly plug those really quickly because they're right around the corner, including this Thursday. We have an amazing Black History Fest that is just chock full of really outstanding opportunities. And here in February, we're lucky this year to get 29 days of Black History Month. And on our last one, we're going to have an outstanding Black History Fest, food provided by Divine Appetite Cafe. Thanks to the Mason Schools Foundation, the great YOLO Band being provided the funding for that from all of our PTOs. And this year, we're really particularly excited to have a Black business showcase that has over 15 local businesses. And so we're not just consuming Black culture, but actually have an opportunity right here at Black History Fest to support local entrepreneurs and businesses. So come, they are prepared, obviously, to take cash for some of their items and services, but also just to share their story. And then we'll also have an opportunity to recognize two of our Your Story Matters Citizens of the Year, Dr. Purcell Taylor, who was recently inducted into Ohio's Veteran Hall of Fame. The Veterans Hall of Fame is not actually about the service spent in the military, however. It's about the time and service that you've done to your community post-military service. Dr. Purcell Taylor's story is absolutely incredible, and we can't wait for you to get to meet him, as well as our own campus safety team member and really hero extraordinaire to all kinds of Mason Comets, Terry Killens, who is the first person to play in and officiate an NFL Super Bowl game. There you go.
and I still am mandatory about that.
I think Tom Brady's been mentioned more times in our meetings.
We also have, right around the corner, March 6th, Taste of Mason, our 17th annual. You do not want to miss that as well. And so we spent a little bit of time planning for Taste of Mason as well.
Thank you, Tracy. Facilities Committee. Heard a lot about facilities tonight.
Did you see the agenda tonight to see what we talked about at our
There
last
it is.
agenda?
I just want to say I really appreciate the support on that, especially the increasing the wages for our summer custodians and our seasonal folks. They work really hard in the summer, and we get a lot done, and they save us a mountain of money being able to do that work for us. So just on their behalf, thank you. They absolutely will be grateful.
Thank you, Todd. Mason Schools Foundation.
We approved a mid-cycle grant for Lisa Murphy at Mason Elementary as one of our fantastic STEAM teachers. She had applied for a new Cricut machine, and we've had those in the past, so I can only imagine what hers will be used for. And then we also looked at kind of our wrap-up of our reading challenges and feel really proud of the work there. Just a huge thank you to the volunteers and really Kirsten Lupinski, who is on our Mason Schools Foundation and who chairs the reading challenge. She does an amazing job, and we're really grateful for that. We raised nearly $80,000. So, for a reading challenge, that's pretty impressive. And occasionally our foundation folks are so driven that they may sometimes go, oh, maybe we need to do, and I think they did an incredible job, and we had record numbers of books read and minutes read. So thank you to them.
That's 80% of our commitment to fund grants every year in the district in one fundraiser.
Yes.
So just a really stark example about how people's support goes right back into the classroom. It's amazing.
All right. Thank you, Tracy. Item number 13, legislative update.
Yeah, I think I shared last time we are in primary season, so there's not a lot of committees meeting currently, but I will say when committees aren't meeting and there's some downtime in Columbus, what really is happening is people are thinking up new bills and legislation to pass. So what we do is I'm a part of a couple different committees in Columbus, and we meet with the different legislators throughout just to hear what is it that you are thinking of, what's coming on board, and so those are the things that we pay close attention to. For example, one thing that we're watching closely is Senate Bill 219. If you remember House Bill 33, there was a change to licensure, and licensure to be more flexible, that we would move from 3 levels to this pre-K 6 and 6-12 or 8. No, it's pre-K 8 and then 6-12, I think, is the change. And there is actually Senate Bill 219 would try to reverse that, and so that would be something that we'll watch closely. I don't think it'll move anywhere because of the other one has already moved forward, but those are things that we watch closely. The other one that is probably going to be pushed, and Sean and I will watch this closely, is, and there's not a number to this yet, but it's the push for STRS and employer contributions to go up to 18%. Those are things that hit our budget, and so we'll be watching those closely. There's not a number to watch yet, but those are things that will pop up quickly after we get through the March primary. We'll be watching for those bills to turn into either a Senate bill or a House bill. There's a lot of other things that I've mentioned that we've watched a lot. Nothing is moving right now. It's I think the least productive session so far if you look at the bills that have been proposed versus bills that have actually gone forward at this point. And a lot of that has to do with the internal politics of what's going on in Columbus right now. So we're watching that closely too, and who's going to be Senate President, who's going to be the Speaker of the House, and how that impacts us in their decision making aligned with their philosophies as well. So that's the quick update from Columbus.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. Item number 14, Administrator Commentary. Tracy?
I just wanted to thank another one. You know, we listened to our wayfinding moment tonight with our Comet Sports Radio, and someone was saying our students, you know, we provide these opportunities, and then our students just take that to a whole new level. And what those are, you know, Comet Sports Radio is a fairly new, experiential learning is a new, our Comet Coffee team is a new group doing. And then we also have some teams that have been out there for over 2 decades now, just doing stellar work. And one is our Comet Zone. And I wanted to specifically call out and encourage folks. They recognized that April 8th is a pretty big deal. I don't know if you know it. Solar eclipse, nearly, going to be a 99% happening in Mason. And so they came up with a great idea to go down, and in the same way that like our students always are thinking of like how are they pointing legacy, they did a design challenge around a t-shirt. Went to a 4th grader who really came up with the design, and her name is Natalie Smith, Mason Elementary 4th grader. And so the Comet Zone students, led by senior Ella Rumke, designed this beautiful shirt that I would just tell all of you is available right now to sell, and we've got it on our website. But I would encourage you; they're soft shirts. All the proceeds are going to go benefit our Mason Schools Foundation. So a great tie-in there to support them. The shirts are really cool design. On the back, they've got the foundation's logo, which was really kind of them to do as well. But just a great example of how our kids take, opportunities, and they just go above and beyond all the time. And I love the tie-in with also being able, they were excited to think about how could they give back to the community even with this shirt. So giving opportunities to younger students to design, giving opportunities for us to give back to the Mason Schools Foundation.
Thank you, Tracy. Amy?
So February 16th was a personal learning day for our students and a professional learning day for our educators. And I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge how valuable and important this opportunity is for our educators to come together, to learn together, to collaborate together, and that it really reflects months of thoughtful planning and thinking about how do we maximize this really important time. So to thank the people, the many teams of educators who've been planning and thinking about how to use that time well for for quite a while now, and we continue, as we all have now for quite a while, to really lean into the expertise and experience of our own educators in figuring out, first of all, what's important to, in terms of priorities for this time, but also to lead the sessions. So we, across the district on February 16th, had 58 different sessions being led by our own teachers, in addition to others led by administrators and others who we experts from outside that we bring in because they're filling a need. But that's pretty cool. I thought 58 different sessions where our own teachers are able to share what they know with each other. And really great feedback as well. So in seeking feedback and checking in with our teachers about did it hit the mark for you, we had about 86% of our teachers saying it was a 4 or a 5 out of 5 for them for that learning. So we'll continue to strive for 100%, but just wanted to thank those involved and our families also for supporting their children's learning at home and allowing our educators to have that time with each other as well.
Thanks, Amy. Tanya?
I just want to take a moment to thank our staff, students, and families who participate on a regular basis in our staffing process, but especially all of those that came out last night as we had a listening session in preparation for our hiring for the new high school principal. And so I just wanted to take a moment to just tell them to say thank you for the time and effort as we continue to go through that process, and we continue to appreciate their participation.
Thanks, Tanya. Christine?
Amy mentioned the 16th. We had a pretty incredible session offered on our BBE, which are the beliefs, the behaviors, and the experiences we hope to have if we actually practice all of those behaviors. So one of the things that we feel important as a district is never to let things go stale, to be current. And so we reevaluated, and I think I mentioned it last month when we were together, our beliefs and the behaviors, as well as the experience, but really we focused the majority of our time on the behaviors. So we brought together our learning experience designers, we brought our prevention and wellness designers, and we brought our teachers together to actually dig into that. So they were empowered to go back into their buildings, get feedback from their peers. We reevaluated, we came up with something that we feel is much more powerful and more representative of where we are today. So what we had was wonderful in 2018, but it was time. COVID and some other things happened. So they did a fantastic job presenting on the 16th, and they were also asking teachers, what do you want and need to actually bring these to life? So we're building a toolkit this year to actually go the next level to be able to be successful, to have a kind of a repository of strategies and other tools that they can use in a just-in-time kind of way. So they did that, and I also just want to give a shout out to Dan and Amy's team for the My Mason Journey work. It's some incredible and really, really exciting work. So like the VBE and that excitement, the My Mason Journey and the portrait coming together is pretty awesome for the district.
Thanks, Christine. Todd?
First, I do want to thank you again for all the support on facilities. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to work on our facilities. The decisions made in the past and the design of our buildings is beautiful. I'd also just like to recognize Dr. Brennan and Mr. Little. I was on that side of the house of teaching and learning for 20 years, and just to watch the work that they put into this with the culture guide and different things, and then to see a student stand there so eloquent and apply what he's learning, it's incredible. I mean, to me, that's what it's all about. When you can see the kids carry it out, their work is working, and that's what it's all about. Nice job.
Thanks, Todd. Sean?
I just wanted to thank our fiscal office staff team. We received a fun visit last week from the Auditor State's office to award the district with the Auditor State Award. And so that really is a testament to the work that they do every day. The criteria for that are having a clean audit report, and then they have other measures of excellence in financial reporting and accounting processes. And so it's not an easy thing to attain. The Auditor State's office tells us about 5% of governmental entities attain that every year. So a big thank you to our team.
Not very often you hear fun visit from the auditor.
That's exactly right.
Thanks, Sean. Jonathan?
Yeah, just want to just thank everybody again. Just echo what Tanya said. People participating in, whether it's a principal position that we open up or a coaching position that we open up, we are always have willing participants that come right to the table that want to join us in the interview process. We have students that are in the process, staff that are in the process, parents in the process, community members. And so thank you for joining us. We've had over 100+ entries of just feedback on questions that they want us to ask. And we appreciate that kind of engagement from our community. Another thing I just want to thank the board for their support on. So, you know, we've invested in Hope Squad, our peer-to-peer suicide prevention program, and all the support around that for the last 6 years. What was really neat, I don't take it for granted. It's just normal. We just have it going on here, and Alex and Burkett and the crew there, and all the things that the students are doing here at the high school and the middle school, and to continue to promote Hope Week and all the things that they do. It's unbelievable. And our kids are meeting in committees, and their committees are having outreach into even our Mason Intermediate and working with our kids. So you watch all that happening, and we just think this is just normal. Well, today I got to sit on a national panel and talk about the launch of making Hope Squad the national model for peer-to-peer suicide prevention across the United States. And so we had representatives from every state that were on the call learning about what this peer-to-peer prevention program looks like. And so a superintendent in one of the largest growing districts in the United States in Texas, Dr. Ferguson, and myself were blessed to be able to tell our stories. And it was all about what our students are doing. And, you know, when you're sitting there telling about our students' stories, I think what Tracy mentioned, you realize our students, we just create the environment and they just go and just do amazing things. And I don't take it for granted, but we just get so used to it here in Mason. We are fortunate to have the students that come to us each and every day, and they're just ready to go. And then our staff creating the experiences. That was a new program, and that was something that was new to all of us 6 years ago. And so thank you for believing in that. But I just wanted to encourage you to continue to invest in that, and just watch what our students are doing with that program, and how far it's gone now, and how it's now influencing the rest of the country to adopt this same program. So thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Board commentary. Matt?
Yeah, I reflected on the portrait of comment earlier. I just wanted to say we're kind of in the period of the school year where we're in the thick of it, and it's interesting how, when you have your own kids in the district, how your experience with the district informs or kind of sheds light on all the complexities of all the things that are happening in our buildings. And so I have a 7th grader for the first time, so that's my oldest. Mm-hmm. And as I just reflect on this season of the year and think of all the things that are going on in her life, and all of the staff members and all of the adults who are making those incredible experiences happen, it just blows me away. So we're transitioning from Mean Girls is entering the final 3 weeks of preparation for that performance, and at the same time she's trying out for track and launching that, and then having these experiences that Mrs. Sears was talking about in crew during the day, and living the life of learning the portrait of a comet. It blows me away. To your point, Jonathan, sometimes I think we do take it for granted, because Mason is an incredible place to learn, and I just wanted to take a minute and just reflect on all of the work that takes for it to be so normal to us that we sometimes do take it for granted. So I just want to thank our staff for that, and not to put have my 5th graders be outdone. I mean, Super Bowl of learning, that was just like their classroom experience, and the Black History Month Bowl at MI. I mean, those experiences are just the things that set their learning experiences apart from what they might have in other districts. And I just thank the staff for making that happen every day, every year for our students.
Thanks, Matt. Connie?
Matt, you make a really good point. There was a lot going on this time of year, and it's the time when certain things are culminating, and we're really getting the return on our investment, if you will. But Jonathan, something you said at the beginning of the meeting tonight kind of, I think, was the theme of a lot of things we heard tonight, and that was your personal experience in the district with what's going on. Our kids are taking it personally with the characteristics that we're trying to instill in our classrooms, and help them see that as a pathway to learning. And I had a personal learning thrill, honestly, with the little twins. It brought me back to some very fond memories of my personal experience with my kids here. I think it's a great lesson to teach our kids. Have your personal experience. Yeah, you got a class assignment, or you've got a grade level activity, or you've got a competition in the building. But it's really important to focus on what your personal experience is as a family, as a student. So I'd just like to thank our staff for focusing on that, and that includes our administrators, Jonathan. You really kind of made that point tonight, and I think it carried through the evening. It's kind of fun.
Thanks. Thank you, Connie. Ian?
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo Matt and Connie. I think you introduced Portrait of a Comet a little over a year ago. Mm-hmm. And to have Theo Warner be able to get up here and articulate how Thurgood Marshall could be an honorary Comet is a testament to the work that our LEDs do and that our staff does in taking these concepts and making them real in the classroom. And I think we sometimes overstate the work of the district, or people may think, what do they do? That task to take it from a concept where we're trying to gather data about which characteristics should be included on that portrait, and including the students and the community, to then in a little over a year be able to in real time see what that looks like impacting learning is phenomenal. I mean, I'm trying not to be hyperbolic, but that was what we show up to do, and this is why we have the administrators and staff that you are, is because we can do things like that. And so we talk about destination district and Mason quality. That was it, right? Like that's what we hope to replicate time and time again as students come into the district. So thank you to the staff who makes that stuff real, who sat there and creates those lesson plans and those experiences that allow kids to realize their full potential in their selves. So wonderful stuff. Our committee work is great. I think Connie touched on that with facilities, but we've got so many others that do great work. $80,000 is insane. To amount of money to raise, I'm still thinking about that. Winter sports is kind of ending, so congrats to all those athletes that had the opportunity. I know we just finished our rec season. Matt and I talked about that. So to all the kids that got to play a little rec basketball, I hope you had fun. Your club track team, track dad here, is competing at States on Friday. So knock on wood, everybody returns healthy, but a really good shot to do some pretty impressive things there on Friday. Want to echo leap year and Black History Month, our Windows and Mirrors experience that's on the actual leap day, the 29th. Shout out to all the leap year babies who, only get to celebrate their birthday once in a while. 6 p.m. at MI.
Yes.
Right. And last comment, scheduling, which is, I think, the hardest thing we do in the building. So shout out to all the staff members and administrators who got that done. I just scheduled my senior, so that was a moment for us. So that was on my mind.
Thank you, Ian.
Thanks, Charles.
I think, I'm not positive, but I think this is the first board meeting we've had since our principal, Bobby Dodd, announced his plans to find a warmer climate or a different opportunity next year. And so I just wanted to publicly acknowledge and thank him for the time he has put into our high school and our community. Moving down here from Columbus, really plugging in, integrating into Mason City schools, having a child go through, graduate as a Comet, and then just the thoughtfulness with which he approached this decision to, give us as a board and Jonathan, your team as an administration, really set us up the best possible way for planning for the future. People speculate all the time as to when and why people make decisions that they make, and really, the the timing of a decision like this is ideal in the sense that we've got Bobby in place to finish out a strong school year here, but it gives us the opportunity to really plan for the future and make sure that the next leader of Mason High School is going to be a great fit for the community. So appreciate him, appreciate 6 years is not. I think if you measure that I think you measure high school years in like dog years. So it's about half a lifetime there for a high school principal in some cases, especially when it's the largest high school in Ohio. So I just wanted to acknowledge Bobby. Winter sports, like Ian said, are sort of winding down. We've got, I think, basketball is setting up for the playoffs. I think wrestling is already in the playoffs. Bowling's already in the playoffs. And then I know our Comets had a fantastic weekend up in Canton with the swim teams, and our girls placed second in the state overall. I know our boys were in the top 10 and had some outstanding relay swims and individual performances as well. We had a couple state runners up in individual events, and I think all three of our girls relays were second on the podium. So we're crossing our fingers for next year that we'll get a top of the podium finish, then we can meet them here at the school board meeting. So Lunar New Year was this month. We had a lot of families in the community celebrating the Lunar New Year, and a lot of other organizations around the region celebrating that as well. So just want to wish everybody a happy Lunar New Year. We also obviously have our kind of the culmination of Black History Month in the district coming up here at the end of February on Thursday night. And I know that if you go over to the community center, you will see adorned everywhere red and mentions of this being American Heart Association Heart Health Month, which is near and dear to my heart. I know that a lot of folks have friends or family members that are affected by heart health, and our family is no different. So I just want to acknowledge this month as an important one, and sort of extend my appreciation for all of the healthcare providers that specialize in cardiovascular health and make it possible for those of us to live longer and healthier lives than perhaps we would otherwise be inclined to if we didn't have those modern miracle interventions that medicine has provided us with. And encourage everybody to go, get checked out if it's been a while, or if you're feeling any sort of symptoms or things like that. Go get a screening. Heck, learn CPR. It was not just about a year ago that we had a national storyline here unfolding in Cincinnati with Damar Hamlin, and that spurned a lot of action on the parts of people with different interests in heart health. So last comment I want to make, we are a couple weeks away from our March 19th election day, and early voting is already under the way. So encourage everybody to make sure you're registered to vote. If you haven't already, you can go early vote, and that's all I've got. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.